right, so today we're going to do a little bit of bonus content. I want to do some shorter videos of some really important, helpful things that can be extra in the Core Mentor program that I might not necessarily get to in every mentorship group. But these are some things that have really helped me shift my paradigm, my thinking, and have given me a lot more opportunities just in the way that it's changed my mind. So the big one that we're going to cover today is the Cashflow Quadrant. This comes from a guy named Robert Kiyosaki. If you've heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. His big focus is on helping people understand how money works and how to get out of what he calls the rat race, right? So instead of working for money, getting your money to work for you. And this concept has been tremendously helpful for me. If you listen to investing shows or real estate podcasts, almost everybody comes in contact with this book or his content, and it changes how they think, and it sets them on a path or a road to financial freedom. And you definitely don't need it to get there, but generally the people who are getting there are actually still following these principles. So one of the really helpful paradigms is what's called his Cashflow Quadrant. And so I'll show it here, but there's an E, S, B, I. And these quadrants mean different things. They're different types of way to earn money and different roles, if you will. So E is the employee. This means the person who works for their money. Their time equals money. And so a really good example of this would be somebody who works in a labor type role. Let's say a cleaning lady or construction worker. It could be multiple things, but they don't get paid unless they've worked. The more they work, generally at least, the more they get paid. The trade-off though is they always need to invest their own time to get a return, to get money. And so it's a job, essentially. And almost everybody starts here. But you don't have to always be in the same quadrant your entire life. You can move out of quadrants. And I'll also preface this before I move on. There's not a better one or a wrong one or a right one. It's not really a moral value. It's more based on what you want in life. So I think if people really enjoy working at a solid job and they love the flexibility that comes with that, and we'll talk about that in a second, then that's great for them. But ultimately it comes down to what you want and what you're pursuing. So that's E. S is the self-employed person. So this is close to E, but then instead of having an employer, they employ themselves. They own their own business, but it's just them. Again, their time equals money. The big advantage here is generally they can make a little bit more money because there's nobody else is getting paid. They're earning all of the money for their own company by themselves. So this is like the solo entrepreneur. Sometimes in the US, at least, a lot of service industries like repairmen, plumbers, technicians, HVAC technicians have their own business. They work it themselves, roofers, things like that. So it's self-employment. And there's some really great benefits to this. Owning your own business in an LLC in the US can have some huge tax advantages, and it does here as well in Tunisia. Not quite as many as the US, but not nearly as many. But there is still some benefit to self-employment. But again, your time equals money, just more of it. Then we move into the right side of the quadrant, and we'll start with the B, the business owner. So this is not just a self-employed person. This is now somebody who hires other people to work. And here's where it starts getting really interesting. You get a multiplicative effect or a compounding effect when you get into the right side of the quadrant. What's really interesting, and this is dependent on the business, so I'll caveat it with that, but owning a business means you are leveraging other people's time. We say OPT, other people's time, right? Other people's time, sometimes OPM, other people's money, but that's what's leveraging you to make more. And in a lot of cases, you can own a business and not have to work in it. Now, you might still have some responsibilities and things that are required, that require time, but it's not a job like being an employee or being self-employed would be. You can own multiple businesses as well and scale multiple people that you hire. And so that's the B. The final one is the I, the investor. Now this one is interesting because generally It's your money that makes money. So it's no longer time. It's no longer other people. It's money that makes other money. And what's cool here is you can leverage OPM, other people's money. And that looks like a lot of different things in different scenarios, whether it's stocks or real estate. Either way, almost every investment opportunity has a way you could leverage other people's money to make more money. So for the people who are saying, hey, you need money to make money or things like that, that's partially true. It doesn't have to be your money though. And I say it like this. I'm in real estate. Many of you guys know I invest in stocks and things like that. If somebody came to me with a great real estate investment opportunity, the numbers work, I know it, and they're presenting it to me as an investment opportunity. And they're saying, hey, I found this. I don't have all the money, but would you be the money side of a partnership and I'll do the work? And basically I get a cut because I brought you the deal and I'm doing the heavy lifting and the work, right? I would say absolutely, right? And I would give favorable terms for that because they're bringing me value. And I have something that they don't have, but it gives them a huge leg up and a start to get the snowball rolling in investing. So those are the 4 quadrants, the E, the S, the B, the I, the employee, the self-employed, the business owner, the investor. Now, one question I want to ask you, can you be more than one of these? The answer is yes, right? Can you be all of these? The answer is yes, in most cases. Now, Tunisia's labor law might create some pushback or problems because they don't like people having multiple jobs technically, but there are some workarounds. There's ways to still do this despite that and be all 4 of these. Now, do you have to be all of these to retire? Do you have to be all of these to reach financial freedom? No, you don't, right? The financial freedom is less of a number and is more of a mindset and a place where you're released. So it has a lot less to do with a specific number, if you will. And there's lots of ways to make it work on not a lot of income. If people really need to retire, they can't work anymore. But I want to give this in terms of a way to think about how you're using your time or your money and what it's getting you towards, how it's working for you. Just for an example, as an employee, because you have to live off of your income and then save and then retire, generally that is the slowest way to financial freedom unless you have an incredible job, right? If you're a brain surgeon or a lawyer or something like that, a very, very high level software engineer, maybe you can get there faster than other people. But in general, because you're living off of that income simultaneously and requiring the discipline to put things aside, it's a slower path. And you're also limited in how much you can earn because it's tied to how much time you have. Your value for your hours will only ever be so high. I mean, there's inflation and things like that. It'll go up, but ultimately, and as far as the economy, it will only ever go so high. With self-employment, the same thing is true as well. So you can make more money, so it's a little bit faster in as far as reaching financial freedom than being an employee, but again, still it requires your time and effort, and it's a slightly slower way to reaching financial freedom. Now, both can give you a path to financial freedom and reach retirement even early. I don't want to say it doesn't, but just as far as the effort that's required and how you get there, it looks like that. On the business side and the investment side, those are like fuel on the fire of financial freedom to get you to that end spot. So the business owner, if they don't have to live off of that income or they're making a lot more than what they need to live off of, they can reinvest into the business, they can buy other businesses, and they can multiply that income, that growth. And the business will be paying them. So what's really cool is you can get a business to a point and it generates a certain amount of net income per month. Maybe the person can retire off of just one business. Once they get it to a point, they're done. They've reached it. Or they sell the business. Maybe they grow it quickly, then they sell it, and then they retire off that income. That is a way to do it as well. And then finally, the investor. This one, I think, has the most substantial multiplicative growth. This one is the one that can really help you get to financial freedom quickly. And the great thing with this one and the business is you could use other people's money to get there. And so if you are interested in figuring out paths to do that and how to do that, I can help you with that. But like I said with my earlier example, a lot of times it's just finding a good opportunity. You need to know what a good opportunity is and then approach the right kind of people to pay to join in that opportunity with you. And it might still mean that you put in a lot of work. It might feel like your time is money there, but that might be the start so that once you have excess money, you can invest it into other things that grow for you. And like Warren Buffett says, you can make money while you sleep. So hopefully that is helpful in as far as a quick little tool, the Cashflow Quadrant. I think this is one of those huge paradigms to shift your understanding of money, how work works, how investing works, to kind of unmuddy the waters or clarify things to get you closer to where you want to go, to get you closer to wealth or financial freedom. So hopefully you like this content. Let me know in a comment or message me if you thought this was valuable.